Okay, hang on. Okay. All right. Well, it's our last lecture of the quarter, and so this is just like a goofy lecture that. So I just started playing around with this, so I really don't fully understand, and I'm not an expert on it at all. But the tutorial worked when I tried it, so that was kind of exciting. And so the big thing right now is like LLMs, large language models. That's this tech that's powering things like ChatGPT and Google Bard or Gemini now. What's it called? And then you got Copilot by Microsoft, and Meta has, I don't know what Meta calls their thing, but they've got like Llama. They've got these different LLMs and whatnot, and you can kind of interact with an LLM using something called Haystack. So you can look up Haystack AI, and this is kind of it's a AI framework, all right, and this allows you to incorporate kind of LLMs and whatnot into something that you're kind of making or producing here. Okay. In order to get it to work, though, you need access to one of these LLMs using a what do you call it? Like an API key. Okay, so I'm going to use one with OpenAI. All right, so OpenAI is the company that produced ChatGPT. All right, so the only kind of downside for all of this is that you might have to put in billing information. I don't know. It's pretty cheap. Like, so I've been messing around with this, and the requests I generated, I think, let me see. So, and kind of messing around, I've spent 4 cents. Okay, all right. So, you, and I think when you first start, they might even give you like a free trial period, so you don't actually have to enter any kind of stuff. But here I bought like $5 worth of credits, and after messing around with it for a little bit, like I've used 4 cents of stuff. So because they're on OpenAI, if you look at their API and their pricing, they have the latest model, GPT-4o for Sigma or whatever. This is their expensive one, and this costs $5 for 1 million tokens versus GPT 3.5 Turbo, which is what I'm using, is 50 cents for 1 million tokens of input and $1.50 for 1 million tokens of output. So literally 1/10 the cost of their latest model. And so that's just kind of, we're just kind of playing around with it. And so that's what we'll use. So anyway, that's kind of step one, is you have to create an account. I imagine a lot of you already have a ChatGPT account, I imagine. And then basically you would just use the same account, but you would go over to the API side, okay? And so you'd go to product API login, and you would go into the API. And then what you would have to do is you'd come over here to API keys, okay? You'd come over to API keys, and you'll click create a new secret key, right? And when you create a new secret key, you type in some kind of name. You'll click create secret key, and you have to copy and paste that secret key somewhere, okay? Because that will be the only time you get to see it. So after you create secret key, it shows up one time, and you have to copy and paste that key somewhere. Because after you do that, you will not be able to see it. This is the most you'll be able to see, okay? OpenAI will not show that secret key again. So just that one time after you have created it. So you have to save it. Now, where you should save it, okay, is somewhere in your project folder. You'll create a little file called .env. This is where you store your environmental variables, okay? So you'll create a new file called .env, not .env.txt. It's got to be just a .env file. And inside .env, you'll put in just one line, and it's going to be OpenAI underscore API underscore key equals, and then whatever the text of your secret API key is, you'll paste that there. Okay, and that's where you should store it. And this is this will allow your thing to start interacting with the OpenAI service. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's attempting this and trying to do this. I'm curious if it works for you. If you can do it without putting in billing information, that'd be great. I think if you just sign up, you get free trial things. But I just kind of put in my billing information. I bought 5 credits, $5 worth of credits, I guess. I think, which is going to be more than enough for experimentation, because especially if you're using the cheap model, GPT 3.5, it will. You know, you'll rack up like 4 cents, 5 cents in charges, and whatnot. I mean, obviously, if you use it a lot, you'll rack up more. Okay, and so so that's what you need to do to kind of get set up. All right, so you have to create a .env file. Inside the .env file, you're going to put in OpenAPI key. All right. And then, I guess before you even get started, I strongly recommend creating a new environment in Conda where you're going to be doing this Haystack AI and API stuff, because you know, probably right now you've just been working in your base environment, which will have like your NumPy and your pandas and things like that. That's fine, but if you're kind of messing around with this stuff, just because when you start installing these packages, if your environment gets too kind of complicated and cluttered, it can start causing problems. So definitely, I recommend creating a new environment. So you'll do conda create -n for new, and here we're just giving it the name haystack underscore environment. We'll do Python 3.9. I don't know. I guess you could do a different version of Python. And then once you create that environment, so this is all done from your terminal prompt, then you'll activate that environment, okay? And then once you've activated that environment, you will install, you have to kind of install packages like Jupyter, okay? And then a lot of these haystack things require, I don't know, stuff. So here I'm going to do pip install. Now generally you should not mix conda and pip, okay? So conda is a package manager and pip is also a package manager. Pip only manages Python packages, whereas conda will manage Python and other kinds of packages as well. And so you can use conda to install things, but they don't play super nicely with each other. So generally the recommended is use conda to install a bunch of stuff, and then once you have conda done and there are packages that you have to install with pip that aren't available via conda, then you can use pip. Okay, but once you start using pip, you don't want to then start using conda again, okay? Because it will like mess up your environment, and you probably have to kind of just wipe out your environment or create a new environment and things like that, just because the package management can get messy. Okay, so so after you created the new environment, you'll install Jupyter, and then there's a few things that you'll need to install. You'll need to install OpenAI, Torch, which is a neural network thing, and then Haystack AI, and then we'll also install some data sets and this thing called sentence transformers. Okay, and I have just copied basically this exact tutorial here. All right, and you can also you can just click open in Colab, and it will run here. Okay, but this is going to create what's called a retrieval augmentation pipeline. All right, and so or RAG pipeline. And so the idea here is you might want to create your own kind of customized version of like ChatGPT, a type of thing that you're interacting with an LLM. So you know, these large language models like ChatGPT, you ask a question and it sends a response, and it sends this kind of eerily, I don't know, uncannily human-like response, but also a little bit like overly fluffy, and I don't know. I feel like I've gotten good at spotting like when text is just generated by AI, because it just feels a little bit too airy, and there's certain words that just kind of like so if that's your natural writing style, you probably want to change it so people don't think you're the AI, right? Like but anyway, it's still impressive. It's still thing. Okay, but there's something called retrieval augmentation, and the idea here is, let's say you wanted like a chat bot to respond to like customer service inquiries for your company, right? So this is often, we've probably had this experience. You go to a website, you want to talk to a representative, but you first have to defeat the robot, okay? And that robot, okay, that chat bot that responds to your initial inquiries that says like, are you talking about this order or whatever? That is going to be a robot powered by retrieval augmentation. So it has kind of like this baseline thing of like understanding words and being able to respond to them, but then like the answers that it will respond to, those answers are coming from basically like documents covering like the return policy, and documents covering refunds and things like that. So you're building kind of up this like corpus of like policy documents, and perhaps also information about like your orders and inventory and things like that. Okay, so retrieval augmentation is basically, so regular old ChatGPT has like the entire universe, okay, but that's going to be like too broad for your specific application. You don't want your specific application to be answering questions about the other company and things like that. So so you kind of restrict it to, you know, maybe a certain set of documents, and this is basically your retrieval augmentation, as you say, these are the things that we want you to talk about. Okay, and then this pipeline, in terms of like how it's going to work, okay, is we have the sentence transformers text embedder, okay, and it creates an embedding for the user query. And that basically means, how do we turn questions that the user writes into something the large language model can understand, okay? And so it has to create these text embeddings that gets fed in, okay? We have this other thing called the in-memory BM25 retriever, and this is going to, this is the system that goes and looks at the kind of the documents that are stored away and kind of tries to pull relevant documents. We have prompt builder, and so each of these things you can kind of click and learn a little bit more about, okay? It says use this component in pipelines before a generator to render a prompt template and fill in variable outputs, okay? And then finally we have the OpenAI generator. So the generator is basically going to use the OpenAI large language model. In this case, it's going to be GPT 3.5, and that's going to use to generate the words that get output onto, you know, that you end up reading when you read, you know, chat or whatever. Okay. we're going to, so for this thing, the tutorial uses this Wikipedia article, 7 Wonders of the Ancient World. Okay. Do you guys know what they are? Oh, I guess all the answers are right here. Okay. So the only one that still exists is what? The Great Pyramid of Giza. But we had these other things, the Colossus of Rhodes, this giant, I don't know, statue. Okay, Hanging Gardens, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, Mausoleum, Statue of Zeus, Temple of Artemis. Okay, so those are your, that will be the article that we'll do. Okay, so you have to get this set up in your environment once you have that set up. But again, before you even do that, I strongly encourage you to create your own separate environment and then do that. Okay, and Haystack, when you install it, they kind of track usage of their, whatever you call it, their components. And so if you say, if you run the tutorial too much, okay, then they're going to think like, oh, people are really interested in this kind of application of like learning about the 7 wonders, and we should invest in that. And so here you can just kind of let them know that you are just running a tutorial here. But okay, so this is just going to let Haystack know that we're running a tutorial, and then we will start doing this. Okay, and so it says you'll start creating your question answering system by downloading the data and indexing the data with its embeddings. Okay, here we are just going to take the 7 Wonders data set, which is already, or 7 Wonders Wikipedia article, which has already been kind of cleaned up for us. Okay, but if you want to like customize this, and so now that I've been playing around with this, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try to turn my syllabus into a retrieval augmented generator thing, and then I could have like a autoresponder in my emails that will say, oh, this looks like a syllabus question, and here's a relevant portion from the syllabus. Was this question, was this response helpful? People will be angry with me, I'm sure, but you would get something like that. Okay, but anyway, so in order for this to work, we have to create this document store. Okay, so this is going to create a place that stores the documents, and this is the in-memory document store. So it says initialize a document store to index your documents. A document store stores the documents that we use to kind of answer questions. All right, and so we use this says this is the simplest document store that we can use to get started with, just because it runs locally on your own machine. Obviously, if you're looking long-term towards a bigger thing, you don't want it stuck on your localized thing. So there's more information on how to get some kind of bigger thing. Okay. So the Wikipedia page is 7 Wonders of the Ancient World. This has already been pre-processed, and there's something called Hugging Face. Okay. And Hugging Face is basically another kind of AI company that has a whole bunch of these, I guess, different kind of models that you can use. And so you have not just OpenAI's GPT model, but you have different kind of like open source ones. So one is like Meta Llama. So Meta has released kind of a community-driven LLM called Llama, and that one is like free for you to use. So I know I'm not pushing OpenAI's thing that you have to pay for, but This is just kind of the tutorial. It uses that one if you want to switch over to something that's kind of totally free. You can switch over to Meta Llama, but I was not able to get it running on my own. I think it requires some different configuration yet. So, so here I'm just using the tutorial, which works very well for the OpenAI, I think. Okay, but anyway, within here's kind of this is what the version of kind of when you convert the Wikipedia article into this thing on this data set, it kind of takes basically the different sentences in so let me just kind of show you. So 7 wonders of the ancient world, and we have in 653. Is that not a thing? Okay, well, construction. Oh, this is one. No, we want 7 wonders of the ancient world. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, basically different kind of text stored away in this data set. Okay, for 7 wonders of the ancient world. And so we are going to load those documents into our document store. Okay, so so we have our well, I guess first we load our documents into our data set. So running that, so we've initialized my document memory store. We'll create a document for this. All right, and so we're gonna load the data set from 7 wonders. Okay, and then we'll create documents, you know, from Haystack using this document thing, and then we will do we'll create our content for this for each kind of doc in the data set. So inside this data set, we use a list comprehension. So basically, you know, for every document in this data set, which is basically each of these things here, we're going to take the content, which is okay, so from that document we'll take the content and just the meta information. So there's multiple columns here, but we're basically just storing the content and the meta information, okay, which is articles, you know, on the Colossus of Rhodes or something like that. So if you go to, you know, Colossus of Rhodes, it's got the information from that here. Construction. Construction began in 292 BC. Is that part of this timeline? Construction began in 292 BC. Ancient accounts, which differ to some degree, is all right here. So they've taken the text of that and put that into our document. Okay, so so we're going to put that into our list comprehension. We're going to get a list of documents that have content and meta, and so that creates our no data set called, no module named data sets. Did I mess something up here? We'll run this. What happened? Live demonstrations always kind of breaking my all right, let me I have to do conda activate Haystack environment. Okay, that's what was going on. I had the wrong environment. Okay, so now let me do Jupyter Lab. Okay, let's try this again. We'll run this. Okay, document store. Load data set. Okay. Well, it looks like it's doing something now. Okay. Yeah, it ran. No errors this time. Okay. So that loads. This creates basically a list of document objects. Okay. And then now we need to embed these documents. Okay. To store the data, basically we have this list of documents in docs. Okay. And we need to store that into our document store. So we have the sentence transformers document embedder, right? Like all of our function names just get bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? So we initialize that, and so our command here is we're going to do the sentence transformer document embedder, and we're going to use the sentence transformers model, the all mini LM L6 V2 model. Okay, and so currently there's different kinds of models that you could use along with this, and we're going to create our document embedder, right? And so we call warm up to get that started, right? So that's going to download this embedding model. So it's going to, like, how do you turn sentences and words? Because like, everything seems like magic. You type in sentence and then you get things back. But what's happening under the hood is, like, when you type a sentence into ChatGPT and say, like, how do I blah, 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 okay, you put in your question there, it has to convert that into something the robot can understand, okay? And so it turns it from words into some kind of numeric thing, and that's the document embedding, okay? That's the text embedding. It basically turns your words into vectors, and these are like complex vectors and stuff. And how should that be done is different for each of these things. In the way that, like, I don't know how our brains work, but, like, people speak different languages, right? And if you think about, at some deep level, it is like magic how my body is, like, expelling air through my, like, vocal cords and tongue, and it shapes, like, it causes the molecules in the air to vibrate at, like, some unique form, and then your ears hear that, and then you get these vibrations, and then your brain goes, I'm starting to pick up, like, words and understand and this and that, right? But then if you go to a foreign country and they speak a language that you don't understand, your brain is still hearing all of the same air vibrations that your neighbor is hearing, right? The native person there is hearing. It's just your brain isn't able to understand these air vibrations. And similarly, like, the computer, this LLM, needs to have the text coming in to turn into something that the brain can understand, right? So it's like you got these letters coming in, it's got to turn it. So anyway, so we use this document embedder to do that, okay? And then, now that we have the document embedder, we're going to take our list of documents, okay, which we created using our list comprehension, okay, and we're going to just say run the document embedder on these docs, okay, and that's going to go into docs with embeddings. Wait, what's that happening with doc embedder? It says future warning: resume download is deprecated and will be removed. Downloads always resume when possible. If you want to force a new download, use force download. Okay, well, I don't know what just happened there. Okay, so I'm going to do document embedder run docs. That's going to create my documents with embeddings. And then now that I have my documents with embeddings, I'm going to store those documents into my document store that I created back here, the in-memory document store. And so it takes a little bit of time. And it is running. Please work. Okay, but so we'll let it run as it's embedding our documents. Okay, and then now we build our retrieval augmented generation pipeline. Okay, and so the pipelines are just fancy ways of just saying like basically a process, like start here and then do this and then do this. Okay, so basically, it says to create the pipeline, we have to initialize each component, add them to the pipeline, and then connect them. Okay. So one thing is we need to have a text embedder so that when a user asks a question, again, it interprets the question into a text embedding that our model can then understand. So we first need to start off with a text embedder, and then it says here we're going to just use the same kind of sentence transformers all mini LM L6v2 model to create embeddings for your document, and then so we're going to use the same text embedder when a person asks a question. Okay, and so that is okay. So our documents are stored here. So here we're going to create a sentence transformers text embedder. What did we have? This was sentence transformers document embedder. And now we have the sentence transformers text embedder. It's the same thing, except here this one will embed just plain text versus back here we had a list of documents, document objects. So here we're going to just take plain text and turn that into something that we can think. All right. And then the next component in our pipeline is the retriever. Okay. The retriever says, because we have the in-memory document store, okay, and the retriever will then try to look into the document store to find related documents to answer our questions. So we have the in-memory embedding retriever, and we're going to look in the document store that we created earlier, okay, and then we have something called the prompt builder. And this is how you this is basically when you go to ChatGPT or whatever, this is the prompt that you give it, and you give OpenAI this prompt, and then OpenAI kind of sends you this response. So this is kind of like it's like if you ask ChatGPT, it says, given the following information, answer the question. So you say, you know, given the following information, it's kind of like, let me see if I can go to ChatGPT. So if I say, given the following information, answer the question, okay? And then I write context, and then I would copy Colossus of Rhodes construction. So we'll copy this stuff. And then let's say my question, where is, okay, context is this, and then we're going to say, so here it kind of tries to pull the retriever pulls the relevant documents, okay? So we're going to pretend that this is the relevant document. And what is the question I want to ask? What's a relevant question? I can say, how large was, I don't know. All right, we'll just say, when did construction begin? Okay, question. When did construction begin? All right. And so given that, let's see what it responds. Construction began in 292 BC. Okay, I mean, this is that's easy. That's great. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so that's kind of how this is how you get responses from kind of ChatGPT. All right, so that's going to be your template thing. All right, this is your prompt builder, and this is how you. So this is a secret, I guess. If you're going to use ChatGPT to answer questions, and you want your questions to be related to whatever content was covered in a course or something, all right, you can kind of take your course-related documents, say, given this information, answer this question. And then it will kind of just give you an answer based on the information you give it, rather than because ChatGPT has embedded in it all of the world's information, right? And so sometimes you ask a question, it's it gives you way too much stuff, and you're just no, just talking about this specific thing, and you can kind of give it the prompts like this, right? And so this is kind of how we're gonna build our thing. Okay, so so that's the prompt builder, okay, and that we give it the template for our prompt builder, and then now we have to be able to interact with the thing. Okay, so here we have this. Remember, you stored your API key into that .environment file, okay? And so this will do it. Now, if you didn't create your .environment file with the API key, then this will prompt you in your notebook to do that, all right? And then once you have that, then you can call OpenAI generator. That will use your OpenAI API key and create a generator that's going to produce our responses. Okay, and this will be, and we're going to use the cheap model GPT-3.5 Turbo, and that. Okay, and so now we just kind of build our pipeline, and the pipeline we start off with an empty pipeline, and we just add each of these things, and we just say start off with the text embedder, take the user question, turn it into a text embedding, then retrieve the relevant documents, then build the prompt, and then go to the LLM with that prompt to get a response. Okay, and then we connect the text embedder to the retriever. We connect the retriever to the prompt builder. We connect the prompt builder to the LLM. So that's you add your components and then you connect them. So that's a very simple kind of thing, and says here, these are the components and these are your connections. Okay, so text embedder goes to the retriever, retriever goes to the prompt builder goes to the LLM. Okay, so our question is going to be this, and here, so we'll do, what does Rhodes statue look like? Okay, and so this is going to be our question, and then we're going to have it run the pipeline, okay? And our text embedder is going to take our text question, and it will take the question and build the prompt. And then when the LLM responds, okay, we'll ask what is the reply. So it is running. It goes to ChatGPT, and it says the Rhodes statue was the statue of this is what we get here. Okay. All right. Let's see how that compares to. Let me just start a new chat with ChatGPT. Here we'll go to ChatGPT 3.5, and let's just say. Okay. So this is. So this is the wrong information. So because it's pulling something else, right? So what we need to say is I have to modify this, right? So in the context of wonders of the ancient world, what does Rhodes statue look like? Let's see if that. Okay, if you're referring to the Colossus of Rhodes. All right, so this is kind of, I don't know, more stuff like this. Okay, And we get some things. Was a massive bronze statue of the Greek sun god Helios. And we get some of that. There was a statue of the Greek sun god Helios and things like that. Okay. So we could also say, like, when did construction for the Colossus, we'll say the Rhodes statue begin? Construction for the Rhodes statue began in 292 BC, which kind of matches, I think, whatever our old construction began in 292, right? So, and you can see how it's kind of pulling these things, and it's responding accordingly. Okay, and so here are some more things. Where is Gardens of Babylon? Why did people build Great Pyramid of Giza? And you can kind of go through all of these things. I don't know. How did Colossus of Rhodes collapse? I don't know. What else do we want to ask about the 7 wonders of the world? I don't know. Here, we can put in something unrelated to the 7 wonders of the world here. And let's just see what it does. Because this is, I don't know. What is UCLA? Okay. Let's see that. Okay. So we're going to do, where's Gardens of Babylon? Okay, so it's still doing something, all right? So it's augmenting it with something else, okay? But it's giving us answers. Where's Gardens of Babylon? Exact location. Why did people build Great Pyramid of Giza? And what is UCLA? UCLA stands for University of California Lewis. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, that is just kind of the most kind of basic little framework or thing that you can do to start interacting with OpenAI stuff. All right. So let me see. Let me see how much money we spent today. It's pretty cheap, okay? Let me go to my API login. We probably spent like 5 cents today. If I look at usage, it's gonna be like, yeah, okay. I spent 5 cents. All right. So it's and I think that includes like what I spent yesterday. So this is like my monthly usage. So far, because I just started messing around with it yesterday, and yesterday I was kind of playing around with it a lot. So, yeah, pretty. It basically charges you for every like word it has to read in, and every word it kind of spits out. And I think the pricing on it is at least for 50 cents for 1 million tokens, $1.50 for 1 million tokens. Okay. Embedding models. I guess you have different embedding models. I don't know. Okay, so I don't quite know all of these things. Fine-tuning models, and I guess you can kind of do all kinds of stuff here. These are your different models. DaVinci GPT 3.5 Turbo. Okay. So you have that. All right, so you can think of tokens as pieces of words, where 1,000 tokens is about 750 words, and this paragraph is 58 tokens, stuff like that, okay? So it kind of charges you based on how many words you have there. So it's pretty cheap to run with that, and that's that. And so you can kind of play around with it. I know some of you have like, I think, well, I don't know. It seems like AI is like the big hot thing right now. And so, I mean, it has been, but especially with these large language models, everybody wants to have like somebody with experience with LLM. So here's your way to kind of get your feet wet with just kind of playing around with it, and just start off with the most basic things. There's this Haystack AI has pretty good documentation and pretty good tutorials. So So I just walked through the kind of very basic tutorial here, and then you can go through other beginner tutorials and see what kind of other things you can do. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for coming. I hope this was at least halfway interesting, and then and I'm glad it worked. It didn't crash on me this time. Yeah, thanks for a great quarter. It's been a pleasure. And I do have a favor, and that is please take a moment to fill out your course evaluation. If I log in, I think only a few of you have responded, and I think the deadline is like tomorrow at 8 a.m. So you have to do it today, okay? Because you're not going to wake up at 6:30 to do this, or 7:45 to do this, okay? So in Stats 21, 13 of you have done it, and I know there's more than 13 of you in this class. So so please do take a moment today to fill out your course evaluation. I hope you enjoyed the class, and it is very helpful. So the most important question is, I think there's two at the very end, and that is like, what's your overall rating of the instructor, and what's your overall rating of the course? Because like when they do merit evaluations, they kind of ignore all of the other questions, but those are the two that they like put on like my report card, and they're like, this was your thing, and I'm like, okay, all right, but those are the two most important questions. So I appreciate that, well, some of you are graduating, so congratulations to our graduates, and the rest of you, we will see, I don't know, sometime next year, I guess. All right. Okay, thanks, everybody.